Hi there, you are tuned into Beauty and Braids, the podcast where I, Karen Tenard, has conversations about all things relevant to personal growth and development. Just a heads up, I'm unfiltered. You're welcome. Hey guys, it's your girl, you already know, Karen, and today I have basically on the call with me, Treasure Roberts, news reporter. First of all, I had to contact her because she was on this video and they were basically going over, braids, and everybody knows that I am big on braids. Braids are the best. And there was a quote that she had and it said, braids are professional. I was like, oh, let me contact her. So I did that and she is. So welcome, Treasure.
Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome. I appreciate it. And thanks for reaching out to me.
No problem. Okay, let me just get a little background. I thought you were still in South Africa, but you're here in Illinois. It's not here because I'm in New York, but you have basically did news all over. I mean, international and nationally then.
Yeah, well, I would say this is my first professional job. But all the experience I gathered before getting here to me still matters. Being able to report in South Africa, being able to work in New York for about 3 months. I worked at NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt at the Rockefeller Center when I was in New York in like 2017. So I've done a little bit of everything, dibbling and dabbling,
Yeah, well, that makes you well-rounded. So like it makes sense. Then that means you're worldly, right? When you're dealing with news, you need to know everything, what's going on, different cultures, different areas, how things work. So, I mean, that's basically perfect in journalism.
Yeah.
So,
As a journalist, you definitely should stay abreast of everything that's going on locally, I guess, in your state, in your country. And then it's always good to know what's going on out of the country as well, because sometimes that can affect us over here.
this is true. I mean, shoot, our borders are all closed.
Yeah.
They have like bandas,
Have you seen that map? That map where like all the states highlighted like red or something means that U.S. citizens can't go there without restrictions or something. It was just terrible.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Like Americans, you cannot go anywhere. Basically, just sit at home and play cards or something. So
get you a game of Uno going.
Right? Okay. So what's a little funny, like I love journalism. I mean, podcasting, I guess interviews, a form of it. I love media. When I was presented with this opportunity to work for, actually before I was presented to work for a hair company, I asked God and I was like, okay, I already have my bachelor's degree, and I said, let me asked, like, I really love journalism. I can go to a graduate school of journalism in the city or hair school. Like, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? And randomly, I think a week later, somebody emailed me about a job, and then they come to find out it was for a hair company. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go to school for cosmetology. Okay. And so I kind of was like still wanting to do the whole journalism, but I was like, at least let me get the credentials for hair. So now you see Beauty and Braids is basically a mesh of the both.
Okay.
Yeah, you never leave it. Like if you're an inquisitive kid or you just like to know things, media, internet, interviewing and journalism is definitely something it's just you have to, it's a calling. And it called you. So I wanted to know like your experience of like that part where you had box braids in one of your reels and you was doing interviews and stuff. And what was that conversation like with the woman or man who gave you advice?
Well, so just so a little background so I can explain for people who might not even understand what a newsreel is. Basically, as a incoming journalist or like a reporter, MMJ, anchor, like into the industry, they want to see a
Mm-hmm.
compilation of your clips of your work, like work samples, basically. But our work samples are usually in the form of videos showing our on-air performance or showing how we can write and showing how we can be creative. So before I graduated college, one of my second to last internships was in South Africa at Cape Town TV. So of course I'm in South Africa. Like I don't have a hairdresser over there, and I love wearing braids in the summer. I wore
Mm-hmm.
braids there, and I did the news with braids there. Now, you know, I'm not sure how much of a problem it is there because again, I was working for a community television station, but I would like I guess I would assume that nobody had an issue with it, because a lot of people wear braids over there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I was very proud of the work I was doing there. I was still in college and I was out, in the community, still managing to get the story done, even around working my way around the language barrier. So this one clip I had where I was like, wow, it was crazy. I was just like literally right in front of a protest, like an active protest where these people were so serious. I think they were calling on a specific company who they say just wasn't paying them enough for all the labor that they've done. And so I'm just like, all right, I got to get this. I got to get this. And I had somebody filming while I'm walking in front of the protest, just like, what I believe to be a very captivating stand up, very active. Something is
Right.
going on. And so I'm like, you know what? This is a winner. I'm going to put this on my newsreel, which is that compilation. Um, and I'm going to show it to people before I get a job. So I finally get to the point where I'm one semester out before graduation, and I put the newsreel together. I put the braid stand up in
Mm-hmm.
my newsreel, and I showed it to a news director. Now I don't know the news director's name or where he worked, and even if I did, I probably wouldn't say it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that I showed him my work because I just wanted to get some feedback. Now it wasn't necessarily because I wanted to go to that specific station, and if maybe he wanted me, I would look into it. But I simply wanted feedback since I had about 4 months left until graduation. He looked at
Mm-hmm.
the reel. I'm pretty sure, he said it was good. Like, he gave other critiques, but his biggest critique, I guess, or piece of advice for me was that I need to take a specific clip off my newsreel. And I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, because, it's going to be hard for you to get a job, or basically it's going to be hard for you to get a job with your hair like that. Like he basically said, take the clip with the braids in out of your newsreel. And so, I kind of just being young, being a college
Mm-hmm.
student, and just kind of like I want to do whatever it takes to get in to the industry because people talk about how hard it is, how competitive it is to get into this industry. At first I was like, oh man, like it was discouraging, but I'm like, do I really need to take it out to get a job? That's what I'm thinking at first.
Right.
So then, I leave from that table because I was just like, all right, well, thanks for that. And I go to someone else and I show them my reel, and they talk about how great of a stand up it was, the one of me in front of the protest,
With the braid.
with the braids. And I was like, oh, really? I was like, well, I just had a conversation with a news director, and he told me to take the clip out because I had braids in my hair. And when I tell you, the person I told that to, they looked at me like kind of like in disgust, or like they were like perplexed, and
Mm.
said like,
Listen.
he told you to do what? He told you to do what? And I was like, yeah, he said like it would be hard for me to get a job with the braids. And he's like, nope. Mm-mm. Listen to me. Don't let anyone ever tell you can't wear your hair like that, or don't let anyone ever tell you how to wear your hair, basically.
Right.
And so I felt uplifted in that moment, like, oh, so you see the potential in me as a journalist because of my storytelling in this stand up beyond how I'm wearing my hair. And
Right.
after
And I
that,
mean,
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
sorry, no, I was just gonna say, but it was relevant to the place you were in.
That's what I literally, And if anything, I'm thinking a boss, like, you're more concerned about wow, where was this at? You were in
Mm.
another country doing this? then oh, but your hair, that's not gonna work. I never expected to hear somebody say that, especially because I'm telling you right now, I was in South Africa.
Right. Like you need to know. See, that's when the person is is not in touch or in tuned with the hi- the world, because if you tell them like I'm in the whatever South Africa, and anybody who is basically of African descent or something will know your hair is got to be in a protective style,
Yeah,
right? You can't walk around with a press or the new growth. All of that
come
stuff
on
is going
now,
to make you
look.
look more
Mm-mm.
unprofessional than it is box braid.
Now, if you want me to be standing out here with the humidity hit hair, and you think that's professional, all right. But I'm telling you right now, it's not gonna look good.
Exactly. Oh no. So can you tell me like his background, like his nationality?
Okay, and so this will probably be a plot twist.
Mhm.
People probably didn't, and I didn't say this in other or speaking to other people, mainly because I didn't think it was as important, more important as there's been conditioning in our society. And
Mhm.
no matter who said it, it shouldn't have been said, at least in my eyes. Um,
Right.
the news director was black. So
See, I the funny thing is I took notes, but I kind of figured he was.
yeah, the news
I
director
kind of
was black.
I kind of figured he was. That same thing happened to me when I was looking for a job and I had my hair like fuchsia. I'm a hairstylist, so I'm like I have fuchsia, and I was this black lady told me, "Oh, you might need to calm down with your hair." But I'm like, I want to be a hairstylist. Like, why would I need to limit my creativity with my hair? And then they set me up with a whole bunch of interviews, and I sat with execs and stuff like that to kind of push me through certain, basically testing my interview skills. And I've passed all of them with flying colors. And um, I asked this Caucasian lady, like, I was there, like, is everything okay with my? She was like, you did excellent. She was like, this, I would hire you if I was hiring right now. And I was like, okay. I was like, was my hair any? She was like, your hair had nothing to do with it.
That's
She was like, I
great.
see with your resume. And I was there like, it's so crazy. It's usually the people of your same background discouraging you or projecting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their own disbeliefs or problems on yourself when you're like, but I have the credentials, I have the personality. Like there's certain things people are blessed, you know, some people are just they have the gift, right? So it doesn't matter what they appearance look like because people are gonna want to hear them,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know. So that's why I had to ask you that because I was there like yeah, I feel like it probably was a black person. I feel like it was a black, but yeah, so
And I'll tell
um
you right now, that's why I was even more discouraged because I'm like, wow, like you're my people, you know? And if anything,
mm,
I expected you to encourage me, even if I have my hair like this, rather to then discourage me and tell me to take that clip out. I was kind of like in shock, like, what? Like I didn't expect
mm,
that from you. But
right. But then some men they rather straight or like it well not some men. I'm gonna say like some in corporate, they're like, you know, what they're so used to seeing, or they just assume, right? So they're like, well, if your hair is like this, then these are the people I see, right? They've never seen anything else, so they're just gonna assume that's not accepted,
right. Yeah.
right? So he could have, he wasn't trying, I don't think he was trying to, he didn't know what he was doing. He just probably was like, I don't see it, so I can't see you doing it. Like, you know, it's not accepted. Not to say that times is changing and this is actually diverse and this is good, you know. So, well, I'm sorry that happened to you, but I'm actually happy it happened to you because you were able to, you know, speak on something, right? And it
Yeah.
pushed you to the point where you're like, I was discouraged, but then I was empowered at the same time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, like, you never really know why some things happen to you until you realize why they happened to you, you know? Because looking back, you would think that was in 2018. You would think I would never really talk about that moment, honestly, again. Or at least if I talked about it, you would never think that it would have the impact on people that it did. Because I knew I wanted to get braids again, but I was worried about it, just being in the industry and hearing what people say. But then upon getting them and just celebrating, just that post I made on Twitter was really more of like a celebratory post. It was like I did this. You told me I couldn't, and I did. And I didn't
Mm,
expect for it to impact as many people as it did. So that was
girl,
just like, wow, I did not see that coming.
every experience that we go through is for someone else. It's usually never for us. Um, because there are people being discouraged all around town about every little thing, anything. It'd be like, what? Like, can't we just live? But no, when I seen that, I was there like, yes, and I was like, yes, it is professional, okay? Like I had lawyers who were my clients, and when they started coming to me, I was like, yes, you in the courtroom with some box braids, like that's what's up.
Period. Yeah. Yeah, and this is
So,
honestly, this is for any profession. Like, this is not just for news. And I don't want people to think that either. Like, because I am a news reporter, and it is hard. Like, being on TV and so many critics, everybody's watching you, maybe more than any other person would
mhm,
in any other profession. But
right.
this is for every workplace there. And I know some other people have it hard too when it comes to the way they wear their hair. And I'm glad you brought that up about like the attorneys and stuff, because I feel like they're expected to look and dress and wear their hair a certain way as well. But I think that
Hmm.
braids should be professional in every workplace. Like, the only time like I could see someone trying to say, okay, this hairstyle might not work for a certain profession is if it like poses danger or a threat. Like, if say you work into like working, I'm not sure how to explain it, but maybe like some type of construction site or some type of site where if something gets caught in something, you could be hurt. That's the only time I can really see somebody saying, or you need to have it pinned back or pulled back because if your hair gets caught in this machine, then you could die. That's the only time I could really see that kind of being an argument, and that's more so about safety than it is about professionalism. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, that is true.
yeah,
Like correction officers or working at a psychiatric hospital or something like that. I used to work there, and you have to have your hair in a way where they can't really grab it, right?
yeah,
So like no, long braids would probably be like kind of like a no because they can actually just pull your hair and then that's a wrap once
yeah.
they get you,
Yeah,
right? So
it's a difference between like not being able to wear it because people think it's unprofessional, and not being able to wear it because legitimately can pose harm and danger to you and someone else. So
right.
that's a difference.
That's a good clarification because, but it's just like, what? Oh, I had to quit my. So you know what? It's funny. The hair company that I had worked for that ultimately got me to get my license. I had to quit them because I wasn't able to wear box braids.
You
Yeah.
worked for a hair company and you had to quit because you couldn't wear your hair the way you wanted to.
Yeah. So it's weaves, right? They have weaves and extensions. So that was the promoting part of it. So they were like, I can't put box braids or synthetic hair, right? Because they selling human hair and all this extra stuff. But I was like, but box braids are coming back. Like, like so I was faced with a decision. I said, you know what, like I can't be limited on my hair. So I had to quit. I found another job and quit. It wasn't the only reason, right? But it was one of the reasons that broke the camel's back, right? So I was just like, oh no, I need box braids. Like box braids is everything. But yeah, so that's why it resonated with me so much. Your post, because I just was there like she gets it. She gets it. So I had looked at your whole. your bio, everything on your site, and you're also a photographer.
Well, so when I came into this job, I was my title was multimedia journalist photographer. That means as a photographer, you work the camera for other people. Like, so
Mhm,
if I was to go out with a reporter, I would have the camera,
mhm,
I would be shooting for them. But I got a promotion 3 months in. I guess that title hasn't changed on my bio or something. Um,
mhm.
I got a reporter position 3 months into the job. So now I have my own photographer. But funny you should ask, I actually am a photographer on the side, as in I do take photos with my camera. And
Mhm.
I did
Treasured moment.
yeah, treasure moments. Oh, so is that what you were talking about? I thought you were talking about the
Yeah,
messenger photographer position. Oh,
yeah, no,
okay.
but it actually worked. It actually worked. Like you definitely touched on something that I wouldn't have even known. So that's fine.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so treasure moments. I definitely do photography on the side. I really do enjoy it. It's like a hobby of mine.
Yeah, well, you're capturing all the beauty, and it's creative, and it's just like everything is beautiful. I really loved it, and then the play on the words, treasured,
I
and
know.
it's your name. I was like, oh, but it's cool because just capping what you just said, that you within 3 months of your job, you went from holding the camera behind for someone else. Now you are, you know, promoted within 3 months. That shows how qualified you were, regardless of what was in your reel.
Yeah, that made me feel really good. I never expected to get to work and then 3 months later get a pole promotion. Like, never expected that. That was great.
Now you got a team. You like, follow me. I'll come catch that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's just basically confirmation. I feel like, the God universe or just anything is just letting you know that you're on the right path.
Yeah. God does
We got
have a
you.
funny way of doing that too.
And will bless you right in front of those who speculated and try to deter you. Girl, it happens all the time, and just be like, you know what? Just keep counting these blessings. Um, so yeah, so treasured moments, your name is Treasure, which is dope because it just makes sense to use that name.
Mhm.
I actually have a nonprofit it's called Your Destiny Treasure Chest. So
Mm.
not only did your plight on Braids, resonate with me, but your name did too. So it was just like,
Oh, nice.
yeah. So I was like, oh shoot. Um, so currently you've been working at your job for how long?
Nearly 2 years now.
Oh, so exactly since 2018.
Well,
Once
2019, but I got there in January 2019, so I'm coming up on about 4 months until my 2 year mark.
got you. Oh, and how has it been different since, with the pandemic?
Ooh, journalists during the pandemic, we were stressed, and as almost everybody else was for sure. But kind of being out there in the field, not we're essential workers, so when everybody kind of got to go work from home, not all of us really were working from home. A lot of us still had to kind of go out or do story ideas while also trying to balance like everything else going in the world, um, like racial injustices and stuff like that. Being a Black person and a journalist and covering COVID-19, so it was really kind of just like it was rough.
Wow.
Definitely needed a mental health break after that because I felt burned out for sure. And those type of things can burn you out when you literally have to cover so many tragedies in
Right.
so short time. And then what also can burn you out is kind of doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. So since the pandemic is still going on, like literally, I don't think there's ever been a day since maybe the beginning of the month of March that
Hmm.
we didn't talk about COVID-19. We have talked about COVID-19 in some way, shape, or form every single day. And it is now August. March, April, May, June, July, August, every single day. So, it's
And now you're doing it right now.
mm-hmm.
Like I'm asking you about it right now.
Hmm.
So, is yeah, COVID, the pandemic, losing family, friends, the workload being increased, especially for news reporters because you have to cover it. And then the fact that people are dying not only from COVID but from the hands of other people, um, especially like law enforcement. So it's just kind of like, yeah, mental breaks every now and then, but then you still have to work it. It's just that's that's a lot. Were you able to?
Was I able to do what?
Were you able to do anything remotely without having to be on the scene?
Well, okay, so at the beginning, yes, like they did kind of make us transition to adapt to the virus and just precautions and stuff like that. So they did have us kind of somewhat working remotely, and I think as far as like the city and the things we used to cover, they switched around the way that they did things, like meetings, for instance. They were no longer in person; they were virtual, or a lot of people started using Zoom, and sometimes, a lot of times, our interviews were on Zoom instead of doing them in person.
Right.
But still, sometimes we had to go out, into the field to get video of things that we couldn't get on Zoom. And also, while the pandemic is still going on, there were like protests and rallies, gatherings and demonstrations here in the city of Peoria as well. So going out to get those even during the pandemic. Um, and but we did kind of have some type of remote setup, but it didn't last longer than maybe 2 months. So at
Mm,
some point we did start kind of going back out, but that's also when the state began to start reopening a little bit more, because we had like a phase reopening plan, like most
right.
states did.
Okay. Okay, good. So y'all kept the mask on during the interviews
Yeah,
when you started to go back out?
yeah, we definitely had to keep the masks on, and we tried to stay like 6 feet distance. They created like certain tools for us to use, like distancing sticks that would hold our mics so we could stand 6 feet apart, but still have the mic kind of close to them so we could understand what they were saying. But yeah, we definitely practiced all the things: hand washing, mask wearing, social distancing, um, staying home when you feel sick, and everything like that.
Wow. Yeah, you covered that because I was about to say like uh how was it to talk with a mask on without hearing them, but then you said it was
Yeah.
too. Oh, it was difficult.
Well, we could hear them, but sometimes when they didn't sound really muffled because of the mask, but also just talking with the mask on. And masks are important. We should wear
Hmm.
our masks. But masks are hard to breathe through. They're hard to talk through. And I think it all depends on what mask you have. If you don't have like a legitimate mask and you're like wearing cloth, some type of cloth covering, those can be the hardest to breathe in. Because I actually have coverings I wear now. And I'm like, I can't even get 5 words out without having to take a deep breath because I can't breathe. So it definitely was difficult when it came to just pacing yourself and talking. And then sometimes hearing people because they sound a little muffled. When something is like on your lips, you kind of sound muffled.
Right. No, listen, I understand. It's like, okay, hold up. Let me just bring it down a little bit, take it. But then what I've noticed is that it's really hard on people's breath, right? Like the mask, because it's just you just basically baking, like your face, your breath, everything is just baking. So I had to keep my Altoids on deck because
The
no, I'm telling you,
Altoids.
it's just listen, I'm like, yo, and then you look, your mouth and your nose is covered, so you smelling, you know what I'm saying? The same thing that's going out is like, wow, okay.
That's
Um,
hilarious. And I cannot say that you're wrong, because I have had moments where I'm like, dang, do my breath stink? Because I just kept smelling it. It didn't leave the mask. It was just me and my breath
exactly.
all in
Your nose
there.
is right there. It's like, yo, I can't even lie about this. Like, let me get my little mints because, so that's the new thing for 2020 is like trying to work and manage with a mask on,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
They,
it's a lot.
yeah, they,
It's a lot.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just repeating that it's a lot, girl.
Yeah.
So,
Have you
um,
heard people say like taking your mask off is the new like taking your bra off type of thing? Like when you get home, like women,
yeah.
it's just like a relief to unstrap it. That's how it is. Like when I get in my car finally, I'm like, oh, I take my mask off immediately in the car. And it's such a relief because it's just like I felt like I can finally breathe clearly now.
hmm I feel like it's the breathing when you release it, when you take it off, and then your ears feel a little bit better because I feel like that little pull that it does, it starts to irritate
Mm-hmm.
on your ears. So you got your ears and you get to breathe and you're just like, oh my God, I'm going in and I'm never coming back out. Like, like at the end of the day, it's like you go out for the morning. I feel like that should be that's it. Like,
That's it. That's
come.
all.
Yeah, like what's the point? You're gonna go back out and now you can't really breathe. You can't go out for fresh air because you got a mask on.
Yeah. It's a struggle, but I mean, it's definitely very important. And I think that even though we have those small complaints, I think they shouldn't stop us from wearing our masks because at the end of the day, that's the way that we'll kind of get through this whole pandemic.
Right. Not keep the mask on. I don't understand. People want to go places like restaurants and all these places. They know they have to wear the mask, but they go in there saying they don't want to wear. Just then don't go. Like, why make it difficult? Now that you got people who wearing the mask struggling to tell you to put your mask on, and it's difficult to even breathe, and you got them working up a sweat. It's just a lot.
Yeah.
Um, so now with the pandemic, I'm going to circle back because this is raising beauty and braids. Um, all of the beauticians were out of work, including myself. We could not work during that time, and I know you were on camera and things like that. How were you dealing with your hair, or were you doing it yourself?
I was blessed to have this very, very nice wig that kept me looking good throughout the pandemic. And then also, I began to wear my hair natural. Um,
Nice.
I know like I started with the wig and I was like, you know what? It's a pandemic, you know. I'm just I don't want to wear this wig anymore. And if I wanted to get the wig rewashed and recurled, I can't get it done because my hair salon is closed and he's not gonna be able to wash it. And so once my wig kind of got to the point where it was like, unwearable, like it needed to be washed and done again, I was like, you know
Mhm.
what? I'm gonna just wear my natural hair. So I started wearing afro puffs to work. I started wearing my afro. I started getting real creative with the natural styles. And I think this is the most I've ever worn my hair natural on air. I barely ever wore my hair natural on air last year. But this year, I literally have been wearing my hair natural for months. And that's how I worked my way up to the box braids. It literally went from wearing it natural to another natural style to another natural style to, you know what? I'm getting box braids. And that's literally what with that. And so I feel like my newsroom is very supportive of how I've been wearing my hair. They really liked it, to be honest. They were like, oh, I love your puff. I love your this. I love your that and stuff like that. So that's exactly how I was dealing with my hair. But I will say, natural hair or not, that's why I like protective styles because natural hair is actually very hard to manage. And I don't know if you're not
Yeah.
like if you don't have hair like me or like us, then you might not understand that. But it's very hard to manage. Like you gotta make sure you're detangling it, but before you wash it, deep condition it, do the twist out style before you go to bed, wake up, untwist it, put the edge control on it. Like it's just a lot. Now, I have yet to manage the simple, like semi simple wash and goes that people have or people.
Mhm.
Now, if I get to that point where I can get that done, then I think I wouldn't have to put as much work into it. But I have not reached that point. I do not how to do it. Don't know how to do a wash and go. At least not a good one, really. So,
It just requires a lot of moisturizing, like a
yeah.
lot of product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a lot of work. So protective styles, everybody, they're just like, oh no, like look, natural and easy.
Easy. When I tell you, girl, I get up, I take this scarf off, and I'm good. I'm Gucci. Honestly, you just go to you could you look. I got the braids down, or if I want to do a quick style, literally do a little quick twist and put the scrunchie on it. That's how my hair looked in that photo. I had like a twist going around the front of my head and just like
Hmm.
braids hanging down. That took me what 1 minute. So yeah, braids are definitely so easy to manage, and it's easy access to your scalp. So easy to oil your scalp, which is healthy. You don't got to part it; it's already parted. So I love braids.
Exactly. And when you wash it, when you in the like shower, you could just let that water run through your scalp and that feels amazing as well. It's just it's just convenient. And then it dries. It gets a little heavy, of course, once it's wet, but then it dries. And it is a hairstyle of like box braids itself is a convenient hairstyle, especially if you're a professional dealing with the pandemic and everything like that, or just being on the go. It's good for travel because you're not dealing with your hair. You can get up and go. There's no time constraint when it comes to box braids. It's just like nothing to worry about.
Well, I have a question for you about washing box braids. How do you go about that? Like, do your box braids get super super frizzy after you wash them, like in your scalp area, or how do you keep it kind of tamed?
Okay. So it depends. Like if you have like the regular box braids versus the knotless will probably look a little bit older because it starts with your own hair. So when you're washing that, you got to be a little bit more careful. Um, with the other one, with the regular ones, throughout the braids, I just do the root, right? Like your scalp, and then let the water run through it. So I'm not like really like roughing or scrubbing the braids itself. It's more of just cleaning the scalp. And then for frizz, I'll put mousse on it. Leave-in conditioning mousse, not the alcohol based. Um,
Okay.
right. Put that throughout the braids and then tie it down and then let it set and dry.
So would you say that that really helps and your hair doesn't look frizzy after that or anything?
No, but I don't wash my hair until like at least 2 weeks or 3 weeks after I put it on because I want to get it uh as good as good, So, and I try not to put gel in my hair. Well, I don't put gel at all in my braids because of the drying effects of gel with the alcohol base. So my hair is gonna look frizzy on my braids regardless. So I just try to get the closest color to my braids to my hair.
Yeah.
So so it blends in a little bit better instead of having my tips is brown and then I'm not gonna put black braids because you're definitely going to see
Yeah.
those pieces.
I know
Hmm.
what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people avoid the frizz because when they get their hair done, people cut it. They cut the person's hair that's poking out of the braids.
They cut the
So
hair.
yeah, like I don't know if you've ever seen like a professional braid like or African person braiding someone hair and they like cut close to the like near the top of the person's hair. Like they're
Oh.
basically cleaning off the braids. They're
Oh
just
no. I wouldn't want somebody to do that. Is that like should we do that? Isn't that like cutting the hair off like where it shouldn't be cut?
yeah.
Oh.
So you shouldn't do that. A lot of people don't realize that that's what they're doing, but that's what they're doing.
Mm-mm.
Um, that's why the braids be looking so neat because they use so much gel and then they use that method. So I try to tell people, I'm like, look, your hair could look frizzy. I know with the professional part, just make sure you tie it down, use some mousse, and let it set. Because as your hair sets the way you want it to, when it's wet, it'll dry and stay exactly how you want it. Um, for a couple of days, unless it's ruffled or it's humid outside, all that extra stuff. But your hair it just naturally wants to
You
breathe. It just wants
yeah.
to do what it do. So
Do
um
you have a
I
recommendation
either
for like leave-in conditioning mousse?
um I like Shea Moisture. I know right now everybody wants to, push to the black owned brands. Right now, the best one that I know is Shea Moisture's leave-in conditioner mousse. Um, yeah, and I believe it's the hibiscus um brand that they have.
Mm.
Yeah, so I like their mousse. Yeah, that's the one I use.
And do you kind of like put it on like every night, every other night to set it after you've washed it, or do you just only put it on one time?
I put it just the one time after I wash it. And then if it needs to throughout the day, I'll just, put it, but it's not like every day. It's just once you wash it and then as needed.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to look that moose up.
Yeah, yes. So this definitely just turned into a whole conversation here too. That's what it is, beauty and braids. But yeah, so, for me, I'm a painless braider, right? I always try to tell people like painless braiding is the best braiding, um, because it basically helps with growth. It's not pulling your hair, and there's so much dynamics behind it, behind the products, the tools that's being used, and the weight that people use versus a weight ratio to your hair and the extensions. Um, so all of that plays a factor on retention or preventing traction alopecia. So I'm I'm the voice behind painless braiding.
Yeah, I think painless braiding should be a thing for sure because I do not like when people are just tugging on my edges, and I feel like my head about to crack apart after I get my braids done. I know that's not healthy for my head and not my edges, not my hair. Um, And I will
Mhm.
say, I when I got these braids, I left the appointment feeling like, wow, my head don't even feel super like my scalp don't feel super tight. Like it feels tight, but not like painfully tight. And so I'm
Right.
like, yeah, this is what I like. I don't like when people gotta grab at the edge of the edge. Um, because I
They
have a
put your
major
whole scalp
sensitive.
in there. Yeah, no, I get it. And you don't need to use painkillers like when it comes to your hair. I don't understand that. I don't understand how people could sit there you know what I'm saying, and just let them do it. Like it's just like no.
Mm-mm.
Um, but I'm glad that you found someone who is not aggressive with you. Um,
Yes.
because that makes a whole lot of difference. Like, okay, I can come back. I can get my braids done again. And it's all about wearing those braids.
I know. I'm actually gonna shamelessly plug her right now because I've been getting her I've been getting my braids done by her since I was in college, and I haven't
Hmm.
seen her in like years at least, like maybe a year or 2 years. And
And she's also in Illinois.
no, she lives in my city in Detroit, Michigan.
Um,
And I was like, you know what, sis, I'm gonna be back in Detroit. Can I please come get my hair done? I hadn't had braids since I last got the braids from her. So she did my braids. I'm sure neither her nor I knew that because of the braids she did, my my photo and everything would go viral. So her Instagram page
mhm.
is naturals dot by dot niece. And she does a really, really good job of braids and twists and stuff like that. Painless, she knows what products to use, and she knows how to have good conversation with you.
Right. That listen, you standing there that whole time, you have to say something.
Mm-hmm.
like like people would be like rambling on or gossiping or all this stuff. Sometimes it's just good to have like really good, meaningful conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It relaxes you,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So yep, I got her plug in. So it's Natural by Niece, right?
Yeah, naturals, natural dot or period, like naturals period by period niece.
Niece.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So guys, y'all here. If you're ever in Detroit, you can hit up naturals dot by dot niece. Um, if you're in the area for some box braids, because guess what? Box braids are professional. All
They
right. So
are.
and they are painless. So definitely promote if you know somebody, tell somebody, make sure you know that painless braids are possible. You don't have to be snatched all the time and sitting there making up edges. Like, that's crazy.
Agreed. We don't want you out here buying edges now.
You know what I'm saying? They're gonna start, buying it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like lashes and ponytails. It's crazy. So, thank you so much, Treasure Roberts, for taking the time and giving me your background and laughing and all of this. It was definitely a pleasure and a blessing. Um, and is there anything in the works for you in the future that you want to talk about?
Um, no, honestly, just keep me prayed up. I pray for people I don't even know, so keep me lifted. I love the support. Sometimes you need that support. Never really looking for validation, but love the support from people, love to inspire. Um, so I'm gonna just trust God and keep doing what I gotta do, and we'll see where that takes me. But right now, I'm just gonna keep growing in my current space and working on my craft. But I did enjoy being on here. It was definitely a hoot, and I love to laugh, so that's on that. So,
Well, thank you. And you can, everybody, if you're listening now, you can follow Treasure Roberts on Instagram at
T Roberts TV, and it's the same for Twitter.
Gotcha. And I believe on your website, you have a website, www.treasureroberts.
Oh, yeah, I do, but that is so not updated. But I mean, I need to go re-update that website. I made that like 2 years ago and haven't touched it since. I mean, you can still look at it, but don't judge me because it's about 2 years behind. But it is
Listen,
www.treasureroberts.com.
okay. And look, we got a lot going on right now. Nobody cares. Like, you get to it when you get to it. You
Okay.
doing a lot.
Okay.
We
Right.
forgive you. Like, it's fine. So thank you again, Treasure Roberts. You are a blessing, and I pray God continue to bless you and um, keeps you safe and healthy for all of your years.
Yes. Thank you. And I wish and pray the same for you too. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome, and thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you again for listening to Beauty and Braids. I'm your girl Karen, and this has been another great day. Until next time, you'll hear from me then. In the meantime, please follow me on at Hair by Karen, at Shop Braid Appeal, and at YTC Nonprofit. Get to know me a little bit better. Check them out. Bye.